welcome here as we are prepared for the second race of the third season of the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. Apologies for the delay. We are now 30 laps into this race, working only our first caution of the evening and getting ready to go back Green Flag Racing. I'm Seth Cole up here in the FRN booth as Matt Wagner gets us back underway at the Iowa Speedway over Jorge Anzaldo. Robert Maleska III, Covey Moore, and Oscar Gonzalez, they are the top five. Currently, it looks like we've got 35 drivers in the field, all 35 currently on the lead lap. And as Matt Wagner, last week's winner in the season opener, trying to go 2 for 2. Now, let's not forget that last week, he ended up going to victory lane at a much bigger racetrack of Auto Club, now trying to win at the shorter track, the 7/8 of a mile short track of Iowa, and he's going to have to fend off two hungry drivers behind him as Anzaldo jumps up to the outer groove, that third groove, and Maleska the third was down that inside line, but the caution is out. We've got a multiple car incident on the front straightaway, including the 3 of Dylan Mauskowitz, the 9 of Bud Steele, 94 of Jimmy Drennan was involved in this one as well. And I think we had another 2 or 3 drivers collected up as caution's going to fly for the second time here tonight. We'll go back and take a look at what brought this caution out. This was off of turn 4. And we'll see what caused this problem here. Car that I saw out of shape was the 3 of Dylan Mauskowitz, and we'll see if he is the reason that this caution came out or if it was something up ahead of him. And oh, it was 3 wide going into turn 3. He's on the top side of this exchange, and oh, look, I actually saw some smoke up ahead of him, actually. I think he was checking up for a wreck ahead of him. Several drivers collected up in that one there, including the 9, the 32, 21. I think the 33 got a piece of that one. The 10 of Corey Lane was involved. Actually, I'm not certain, but it might have actually been Corey Lane in the 10 that spun out ahead of Mauskowitz that caused this wreck. No, it was not. Gonna try and figure out who exactly it was that got out of shape. Oh, it was the 21 of Brandon Passelacqua. He gets some help from behind as well. Kind of got punted out of turn 4 and up into the wall. And there you see, wow, someone went airborne. All 4 tires coming off the ground, the nose pointing up into the air. Some drivers trying to snake their way through the carnage. And that is the second caution of the night here at Iowa Speedway. Several drivers with a lot of damage to the front end of their race cars, and obviously they're going to want to get that repaired as this track is a little under a mile in length and has rather long straightaways. So the run that you can get on these straightaways going into turn 1 or into turn 3, very, very important in terms of making a pass. And it's a multi-groove track as well. This track, if they so chose, could hold them 5 wide. But I think the most we're going to see is 3 wide, and we saw a case there of 3 wide. It didn't exactly go wrong, but the car that was trapped up on the outside there of Dylan Mauskowitz had nowhere to go when a wreck took place ahead of him. So you run that risk that you've got absolutely no escape route if a wreck takes place ahead of you. So we did end up having our race leader, Matt Wagner, come to pit road. That turns the lead over to Victor Santos in the 24, Charles Teed, Pablo Diaz-Francis, Eric Schaus, and Craig Forsyth. That's going to be your top 5 when we go back green, with Jim Brooks in 6th, Eric Peterson 7th, Charles Johnson, Krista Nelson, and Jason Butler completing the top 10. Wagner was the first off of pit road, but he will restart back in the 16th position. So he will be back in traffic now, and we'll have to see how slow, methodical, and patient he's going to have to be to work his way back up here to the front of the field. Point standings coming into this race are as follows. Matt Wagner, obviously, with his win last week, is your points leader, 10 points over Eric Schaus. Robert Maleska III currently sits 13 points back in 3rd place. Victor Santos, your race leader, he's 4th in points, currently 16 points out. And Alexander Van DeSand is 5th in the standings. He is 17 points out. Craig Forsyth is 6th. Jorge Anzaldo is 7th. Dylan Mauskowitz, who we saw involved in that latest wreck, he's 8th. Gail Brooks and Jim Herrick complete the top 10. Less than 30 points separating the top 10 in the standings. Still a very early season, only the second race of the year. And this is the time of the season where a good finish can gain you multiple spots in the standings. We can even be talking double digits, up to 10 spots in points. On the flip side, a bad performance here today could drop you double digits in the point standings as well. So definitely you want to have good runs at the early portions of this season, as Victor Santos, not sure if he was loose off that corner or ran a defensive line to make sure Charles Teed could not get the draft on him for the race lead. Teed's got his hands full, though, with Pablo Diaz-Francis behind him, as well as that very bright green, blue, pink number 72 of Eric Schaus. But the battle will be for second, as Teed's going to get a run there. Make that Francis is going to get a run on Teed for the second position. He's going to hold off Francis, who might have had a little bit of a slip up through 3 and 4, loses third place to Eric Schaus. And good battle here for a spot just inside of the top 5. Craig Forsyth has it. Jim Brooks in the 76. He wants it. Matt Wagner in that 99. He's picked up 2 spots since we went back green flag racing, from 16th up to 14th, slowly working his way up. He, along with that 6th of Jorge Anzaldo, they are the ones on the freshest tires right now. Actually, I'm not sure they actually took tires. I think they actually topped off the fuel tank. Battle for the lead. Victor Santos pushing up off of turn 2, opens up the door. Charles Teed sticks his nose in there. They're going to be side by side, 3 wide perhaps. Eric Schaus is going to enter into the fray, and he's going to take the top position going into turn 1. And now Pablo Francis with a big run. He gets chopped off by Victor Santos. About 6 cars up in this lead group if you include Craig Forsyth and Jim Brooks in the 76. And it's about a second and a half before you get back to the 7th place car of Eric Peterson. We got a spin. Someone's around back there. That is Krista Nelson in the 13 machine. Caution is going to fly as Krista Nelson loops it around up into the outside wall. We got a car caught in the infield wall there. That's the 99 of Matt Wagner, last week's winner. And he had to teleport back to pit road because he couldn't get the car refired. Another car in trouble there, facing the wrong way. That's the 91 of Robert Maleska III, 3rd in the standings. And all of a sudden, we are starting to see how Iowa, a short track, is going to play its part into what the point stands are going to look like here heading into the 3rd race of the season. Let's go back and see what happened. Krista Nelson was running up just outside of the top 10, I do believe, when this happened. Oh, gracious. We had some airborne drivers for sure. Oh, looks like the car that was to her inside just pushes up, and nowhere for Matt Wagner to go. He then flies up off of, I believe that was Maleska III, and he gets caught up on the inside wall. Wagner went airborne. Nelson went airborne. Oh boy, we're getting ready for a scary onboard camera here. We're going to take a look from the cockpit view of the 91. And I think another car was flipping, actually, over into turn 3. We're going to have to follow up on that. But here's on board with the 91 of Robert Maleska III. And just watch this. Oh, goodness. And I'm pretty certain another car went airborne right there. Yeah, there's another car that went airborne over the 91 again, and I don't know who that was. Let's see if we can find out. Trying to see if I can pinpoint just exactly who it was, and I'm wondering if it might possibly have been the 54 of AJ Musselman. Oh, it was not him. Let's see if we can figure it out here quickly before we go back green. Because that was, without a doubt, a scary wreck here. You don't normally expect to see cars go flipping and airborne at a track like this. but they carry some high speeds. Oh, gracious. I think it was indeed the 54. No, it wasn't. Trying to figure out. It was Jason Butler who was involved, but he was not the one that went up into the air. Still trying to figure out who it was. Oh, it was the 15 of Covey Moore. Take a quick look at it here as he's trying to avoid. He just barely avoids Matt Wagner. There right where he gets into the 101 of Jason Butler, and then he goes flipping and barrel rolling, and he ends up on top of the wall. That's the concrete barrier there, the jersey barriers. That's not even a safer barrier. Wow, what a crazy start to this race as we are now under our third caution of the day. Eric Schaus, after that 3-wide move to take the lead, he'll be the race leader. Victor Santos in second, third Charles Teed, Pablo Francis in fourth, and Craig Forsyth in the fifth position. And we're going to have to wait for the confirmation here, but it looks like third in points, Robert Maleska the third, maybe the first retiree from today's event. We are only a third of the way through this race, and already he is going to take a huge hit in the point standings. It is official. He has DNF'd. Matt Wagner, a lot of damage on his machine. As we're still, looks like, waiting for the pace car to give it the indication that we're going to be going back green flag racing. There is Wagner in the 99. Right now, 2 laps down is where Wagner finds himself. Corey Lane, who we saw airborne, he's 3 laps down. Has got a couple of drivers coming back down the pit lane. Jason Butler, 5 laps down. Covey Moore, he is 4 laps down. Michael Spell in the 88's 2 laps down. And then we got lap down machines and Krista Nelson, Brandon Passalacqua, and Todd Schneider. Right now, 25 drivers on the lead lap when we go back green flag racing. Obviously, a driver that wants to use tonight as a springboard to go for back-to-back championships would be Nick DeGroot. First time we mentioned him here tonight. He's in the 9th position in that number 1 machine. Had a great run going in the closing stages at Auto Club, but got caught up in a wreck off of turn 4 coming to the checkered flag and finished way down in the running order as the green flag is back in the air. He finished out that race subsequently 23rd, and that's where he is in the standings coming into today's race at Iowa. Eric Schaus pulling away. Battle looks like it's going to be for second place. Charles Teed trying about a groove and a half off the bottom. Victor Santos snaking literally on the front straightaway, trying to block wherever the 5 of Charles Teed was going to go. And then Francis right behind us as well. These cars are darting around, and the 72 is going to get spun. What a save by Eric Schaus! How in the world did he keep that thing going? I don't know. They had him split in the middle 3 wide. Somehow we're still green flag racing. That's got to be one of the best saves I've seen in an IndyCar in a long, long time. Now it's going to cost him in momentum though as Charles Teed gets pushed up the track by Jimmy Drynan. But Nick DeGroot's going to get around the 72 machine now, dropping Schaus back to the 8th spot. And it still looks like he's kind of got his hands full there. Drynan almost ran to the back of him going into 3. The closing rate going into the corner for these Indy cars is incredible. And Battle is now on for second. Francis takes a look to the outside of Craig Forsyth. Jim Brooks there in the 76. How about Eric Peterson in the 36? Where do you go off of turn 4? They just wad up so much. With the runs and the loss of momentum combined, they're nearly running each other over out of that corner. Now Peterson trying to crack into the top 4 as Charles Johnson will jump up to his outside. The Twisted Tea machine. That's a battle for the 5th spot. And now second place under contest again. Craig Forsyth on the bottom, pushed up a little there, almost into the 22. Keep it together for the time being, though. Got a car down there on the apron coming off of pit road. Oh, we got a problem in the back. Caution is out. That's the 94 of Jimmy Drynan. Caution's going to fly for the 4th time tonight, and Drynan has had a huge impact into the inside wall. The front wing, the rear wing, completely gone on his machine. He was up inside of the top 10, and they were wadded up. And undoubtedly, that is probably what led to this wreck. I mean, that car almost looks like a slot car, almost like a soapbox derby car in a way. And it looks like there's going to be some contact maybe between himself and the 72 of Eric Schaus. Oh, yeah, 72 just flat out pushed up. Oh, my goodness, who was that went up into the air? Someone just got sent. And that might have possibly been the 77 of Benjamin Combs. It was. He literally got thrown down the back straightaway. And his car looks as much of a soapbox derby car as Jimmy Drynan's did. Watch this, as we're going to focus on the 77 machine. Look at that. These are the type of wrecks that you expect to see in stock cars at a super speedway. This is a short track where we're seeing drivers flipping in the air, barrel rolling down the back straightaway. The speeds that they carry here are, quite frankly, scary. The reaction time that they need to have is unparalleled. And the rides that they take after the contact is made, the hits that they take are nothing short of spectacular, and more so in a bad way than in a good way. It's just not what you expect to see when you come to a track that's less than a mile in length, in terms of the high velocity of the impact and the result of the wreck. We did have a number of drivers hit pit road under this caution, including then race leader Victor Santos. He's going to come out in the 3rd position. The car that we're looking at of Pablo Francis has not been to pit road since we started this race. He will be 61 laps on his tires. Josh Garner will line up behind him in 2nd. Now, he was on pit road 26 laps ago to top off the fuel tank. So he is going to be up here in the 2nd position. Then Santos will line up 3rd, Craig Forsyth in 4th, and Jim Brooks will be in 5th, followed by Peterson, Charles Johnson, Nick DeGroot, Eric Schaus, and Jorge Anzaldo. I'd be a little bit concerned about that 72 of Eric Schaus. The suspension on these cars, obviously, very much so exposed. And with him pushing up the track there's got to be some damage around the right rear area, I would think, of his machine. Now, it looks like he did not spend any extra time on pit road getting damage repaired, but I would wonder about that. Update, I said that there was a driver out of the race, that being the 91 of Robert Maleska III. Apparently, it was internet problems. He has now re-entered into the server, albeit 2 laps down the 28th spot. Officially, though, we do have a driver out of the race, and that will be Jason Butler. He will finish 35th in tonight's race. So we're closing in on halfway, about 13 laps away from when we reach the halfway point, working our 4th caution of the evening. And I'm just saying right now, the racing that we're seeing right now in the first half of this race, I'm almost wondering what we're going to see in the second half. If you remember, we ended up having some really nice long green flag runs in the early stages of the Auto Club race last week, albeit a couple of cautions intermingled, and really that was just because a lot of drivers were having trouble with the slickness on the inside line coming off the final corner. And so we will see what kind of a trend this is going to set for the second half of this race. And I think it all still is attributed to what I was talking about prior to that wreck we just saw in the back straightaway, where these drivers, they're going so fast around this track, and the closing rate is so huge going into the corner And when you're double wide, 3 wide ahead of somebody and they come flying into the corner with the run that they have, not only the draft they get down the straightaway, but then the entry into the corner, there's nowhere to go, and we see the contact happening. And I would think that, normally we talk about track position at a short track. Well, I'm not exactly sure there is a safe place here at Iowa to be in the field currently, as Francis gets us back underway. He'll pull away by 6, maybe 7 car lengths over the battle for second between Josh Garner in the 12 and Victor Santos in the 24. Santos, looks like he makes some pretty quick work there of Garner. He'll move into that runner-up spot now and try and reel in Francis for the race lead once more. They're wadded up though, 7th place on back. Eric Peterson, Charles Johnson, defending champion Nick DeGroot. Now Johnson will look to the inside of the 36. DeGroot trying to see if he can get by for 7th place. Our last couple of wrecks have been drivers down that inside line, really pushing up, and Jim Brooks got loose, it looked like, off the corner, as Santos has had an issue as well in the 24. They nearly make some contact in what's now a battle for 4th place. Santos going to cross over out of turn 2. We know that at the short tracks, the right front takes a beating. I think that's why we're seeing a lot of drivers just really push up off the corner. As now Nick DeGroot's got a choice to make. Does he go up the middle? Does he wait for this battle between Santos and Brooks to settle out? Looks like he's going to go to the inside of Jim Brooks for what will now be the 5th position. As up front, battle is still close for 2nd place. Actually, these two have been able to reel in Francis. So Francis, Garner, and Forsythe now a 3-way battle for the race lead. And Garner is going to try the outside line. Ran about a half groove higher, and that actually helped him through the corner to get a run to the inside of Francis and move the 12 to the race lead. Francis wants it back though. Peak low, jumps high. Let's see if he gets the run off the corner. Oh, that's too close. Way too close. I think he wanted to cross over, but he nearly had his front wing into the back of the 12 machine. Now into 3, closing in on the halfway point here. Still a 3-horse race at the front, and we got trouble, I think. Well, we didn't. I thought we did. We had a car that the telemetry dropped down, but that was because he was having connection problems. But this is the WAD again back here from about 8th, 9th, 10th position. Nick DeGroot, Jim Brooks, and Victor Santos in a good battle as you add in now Peterson and Zaldo and Johnson. So this is 4th back to around the 9th position, all separated by about maybe 0.4 of a second. Nick DeGroot, good run there out of 4. He'll duck to the inside of Santos. And he will move into the 4th spot. And now Santos crosses him over going into 3. Oh, Jim Brooks got a huge run. As DeGroot had to check up, Brooks almost got into the back of him. Now DeGroot back down to the inside again. Santos crosses him over. Great battling back and forth between these two drivers for the 4th position. And they've got a wad of cars behind them as well that want to get up into this battle. But I think right now it might be a little timid, trying to figure out, hey, you guys settle out your battle and then we'll figure out who we're going to race accordingly. Whoa, Santos got off with close to the left rear quarter panel of DeGroot that time off of turn 2. And now Brooks tries to drive it in deep, tried to get to the inside of DeGroot. After Santos completed the pass, could not do it. That actually took away DeGroot's opportunity to cross over Santos off of turn 4. Now he'll try again off of 2. Meanwhile, further up, Craig Forsythe. He's got the 2nd spot. Josh Garner behind him in 3rd. Neither one have been able to really close up the gap between themselves and that 22 of Pablo Francis. Maintained about 3 to 0.4 of a second. I don't know if this is a case of the fact that 22 is just that strong, or if maybe Forsythe might be trying to preserve his tires. Drop back here again. This great battle for 4th place. The group now has the spot. Santos wants it. He's going to go to the outside line. Not able to make the move there. Got a car in trouble. Actually, it's a car coming to pit road. Regularly scheduled stop, and it's the race leader, Pablo Diaz-Francis, on pit lane. Remember, he had not been to pit road at all this entire race, and he's making his first stop of the day with 70 laps to go. So this says to me, this may be the only pit stop that the 22 team is planning on making for the entirety of this race. We'll see how it pans out for him. Obviously, he's hoping this thing continues to go green, because if he gets trapped 2 laps down, that's going to be very difficult for him to get back with the limited number of laps that we have in this race. Josh Garner going to jump to the outside there of Craig Forsyth. Now Garner comes into this race currently in the, if I can find him here quickly, 27th position in points. Is actually a massive tie for 27th in the standings. A lot of drivers that struggled last week at Auto Club. Forsyth, on the other hand, he comes into this race 6th in points. And don't forget, he won the Indianapolis 500 at the season finale last year. So he's got that momentum continuing on from last year to this year. The guy who won the championship, Nick DeGroot, he is reeled in the top 2. He's brought Victor Santos along with him. Matter of fact, those last couple of laps around, Santos and DeGroot have had the fastest laps on the track. And looks like the 22 may have been pegged for speeding. Pablo Francis was already 2 laps down. He's going to lose a couple more laps now. Very costly mistake there for a former leader, and the caution is now out. Jimmy Drynan in the 94 has had another issue. Caution's going to wave for the 5th time today. So even if that caution, or even if that penalty for Francis had not happened, he was going to find himself trapped at least 2 laps down. This caution was not what he wanted to see, regardless of the penalty he received, and this may be the day over for the 94 of Jimmy Drynan, who the last time we looked at him, we saw him airborne out of turn 2, and looks like turn 2 is going to be the issue yet again. Again, on the outside line, car to his inside pushes up, and then he comes down and gets that said car. Hard impact for both him, and I think the other car might have possibly been the 9 of Bud Steele, and indeed it was. Take a look at the ride that Steele took, as he was almost like a javelin into the inside wall right there, and then, oh gracious. That is, it kind of stops your heart for a brief moment there. Makes you hold your breath. Well, we'll hope it survives. Let's see if our gyro cam on board of this number 9 of Bud Steele, if it survives. This is what it looks like at over 150 miles per hour. Oh my goodness. Oh gracious. That is insane. Well, we'll follow up on Bud Steele. And we will also follow up on Jimmy Drynan, whether or not they will be able to continue or not. Looks like Steele has been able to come back out onto the racetrack. Jimmy Drynan still a question mark, and we have a new race leader, as just about everybody was on pit road, with the exception of Gary Corley. So Corley's going to be the new leader when we go back green, which is going to be with less than 60 laps to go. Corley 18th in points coming into today's race. He will lead Craig Forsyth back to the start-finish line. Josh Garner in second, or make that third rather. And Victor Santos and Nick DeGroot the top 5. Jim Brooks, Eric Peterson, Charles Johnson, Jorge Anzaldo, and Charles Teed going to be the top 10. Let's take an opportunity here for a full field rundown. Why not? Oscar Gonzalez is 11th, Eric Schaus in 12th, Nicholas Wunk in 13th, Gail Brooks in 14th, 15th will be Jeff Heisong, Jim Herrick will be 16th, AJ Hobson 17th, 18th for Benjamin Combs, and Alex Van Desant. We haven't really talked about him tonight. He's in 19th, Dylan Moskowitz in 20th. Joe McAdory is right now in 21st, Brandon Paslicaud 22nd, and 23rd is going to be Jeffrey Duncan. Those are the drivers on the lead lap. Taj Schneider right now a lap down in 24th, also a lap down in 25th, Kristen Nelson. Robert Maleska III, I believe, is the car we just saw up ahead of the race leader going around to take a wave around. He will now be -1 in 26th. 2 laps down are Matt Wagner, AJ Musselman, and Michael Spell. They're 27th through 29th. 3 laps down in 30th is Pablo Diaz-Francis, who we saw not only get trapped on pit road multiple laps down, but then have to come back down pit road to serve a penalty and lose even more laps. Covey Moore is 4 laps down in 31st. Bud Steele now 5 laps down in 32nd. 33rd, still waiting for him to come back out on the track, is Jimmy Drynan. He's currently 6 laps down. Corey Lane 7 laps down in 34th. And only one driver out of the race up to this point, finishing 35th, is Jason Butler. So we are waiting for the pace car to give us the indication that we are going to go back green flag racing. Taking a look ahead here on the schedule, next week, man, we talk about the high speeds and the high impact wrecks we're seeing here today. Next week, we are at the D-shaped, old surfaced mile-and-a-half Atlanta Motor Speedway for 120 laps. That is going to be very interesting for these drivers. One word I always hear from drivers when they go to Atlanta Motor Speedway is slick. And we're going to have to see cars that are pretty well grounded, but at the same time almost look like they're dancing on the racing surface, how they're going to have to deal with that old Atlanta Motor Speedway surface. As Gary Corley going to lead them out of turn 4, the pace truck will make the left-hand turn to pit road. Green flag's going to come back out with 59 laps to go. Corley gets us back underway. Forsyth in second. And there's about 5 car lengths between Corley back to Craig Forsyth. And Santos and Gardner going to battle for 3rd place, bringing Nick DeGroot and Jim Brooks, as well as Eric Peterson, into this conversation. What you see right there, Santos off of turn 4. I don't think that was a defensive line. I don't think that's the way that his car rode off the corner. I think he turned that car hard left to make sure it didn't push up into the outside wall off of turn 4. I think we're going to see a lot more of that here in the closing stage of this race, as Nick DeGroot's going to get around him for 3rd place. First time that Nick DeGroot has cracked up into the podium today. Santos not going to go away quietly. He jumps up to the top side, tried to cross over, and for a moment there I thought he might not be able to because Jim Brooks had a good run on him. And now these guys are starting to reel in the 2nd place car of Craig Forsyth, who is losing touch with race leader Gary Corley. Santos trying to find his way back down to the bottom, chops the nose off of Jim Brooks in order to do so. Continues to be on the hunt of Nick DeGroot, but DeGroot is now reeled in Craig Forsyth, and he's going to look for 2nd, way down to the inside, going into 3. Saw that car get a little squirrely going into the turn. Contact's going to be made, and that's going to send the 27 around in the middle of turn 4. Caution's going to fly for the 6th time here tonight. And you kind of just got the feeling with how deep Nick DeGroot had to drive it there into turn 3 that was not going to end well. There was contact between the right side wheels of DeGroot and the left side wheels of Craig Forsyth. Bit of a ripple there on the left side of the front wing. But really, for where that wreck took place, Forsyth very lucky that he didn't have a more torn up race car than that. Everybody did a great job of avoiding him as he was stalled out there on the exit of turn 4. And we're going to show the initial contact there. You see right there, just wheel-to-wheel contact. And that is always going to send a race car around. Everybody able to avoid, though. But I want to take the replay, and I want to go back all the way to turn 2, because I honestly believe that this wreck started with the move that Nick DeGroot made on the back stretch. He almost goes down to the yellow line. We're going to watch this here going through 1 and 2, and watch how Nick DeGroot crosses down. He's going down almost to that yellow line. It's such a shallow entry into the corner. I don't know how he didn't think that wasn't going to push up. Granted, that Forsythe kind of ran him down, pinched him down a bit, but just got the feeling that going double wide into that corner with such a straight arc into the turn, that more than likely with the tight condition we've seen with cars pushing up on that inside line, that there was invariably going to be contact. And unfortunately, being the car on the outside line, Greg Forsythe was on the receiving end of the spin and the damage, as Gary Corley, the race leader, is going to come down pit road. So he'll turn the race lead over now to Nick DeGroot. That contact was for the second position at the time, so DeGroot now inherits the lead. Santos there in second. And it looks like Krista Nelson is going around to get the free pass here, so that will have us 24 drivers on the lead lap. Jim Brooks will line up third, Josh Garner in fourth, Eric Peterson will now complete the top 5. We're going to be going back green with less than 50 laps to go. We're going to step aside for a quick commercial break. We'll be back here for the green. You almost a thing. We're going FRN side by side.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom t-shirts, racing. We'll do actually any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized, I mean, we'll do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything, hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. Just you can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold, to where you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customers and stuff. So you just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, and if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink colors. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything. We don't Photoshop anything onto a shirt or anything like that. Everything that we go through, everything is drawn, and which is the reason for the art fees. We do have several graphic artists that draw for us, and they're.
As you can see on board, race leader Nick DeGroot, lights are out atop the pace car. We're getting ready to go back green flag racing. It will be, looks like 49 laps to go when we get the green flag. Nick DeGroot gonna lead us back here to the start finish line over Victor Santos, Jim Brooks, Josh Garner, and Eric Peterson. DeGroot trying to get back on form after he was strong in the season opener, but got involved in a late race wreck, finished outside of the top 20, trying to go for back-to-back championships here in the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. But Victor Santos, these two have been around each other pretty much the last 50 laps or so, whether it be for third or whether it now be for the race lead. And Santos gonna go back to the front. He was an early leader, faded back after pit stops, but he wants to go back to the point. And Jim Brooks, first time tonight, he's up on the podium as the caution is out. Gary Corley, no, make that Eric Peterson, has had an issue. Looks like that's over possibly in the entrance of turn 3. And Peterson was running up inside of the top 10 pretty much the entirety of this race. And he is going to be our 7th caution of the evening. And it looks like, actually, this was turn 2 where this incident took place. Nope, correction, it was turn 3, battling at the time with the 6 of Jorge and Zaldo, and that would have actually been for 4th place. There you see the contact. Let's go back and take another camera view here and see if we can kind of pinpoint who was exactly at fault. It's really hard to do with the Indy cars, because as I said, they don't race, they dance on the racetrack. They're constantly moving. It's just so hard to tell there. Maybe the 36 was trying to arc it low going into the corner. Maybe the 6 of Enzaldo went a little shallow into that turn. It's just so hard to be able to pin blame when you're at a track like this where it's such close quarter racing. And as I said, these cars are constantly in motion. Well, a driver that liked having that caution come out is Robert Maleska III. Remember, he had those connection problems, which had him 2 laps down. Well, he took the wave around 2 cautions ago, got himself to -1, and then is the recipient of the free pass under this one. So he will be scored in 23rd, actually I believe 24th, 24 cars on the lead lap when we go back green. There's still a couple of drivers that have enough time to get a lucky dog and maybe be able to get up there and do something about getting at least the top 10. Todd Schneider right now holds that free pass position, as he is first car 1 lap down, 25th. And Matt Wagner, who when we first started the broadcast was leading this race, came to pit road, was back just in the latter half of the top 10, got involved in a wreck where he was actually stuck up on the inside wall on the backstretch. Had to teleport to pit lane, lost multiple laps as a result, and as soon as I say that, looks like he's actually being scored 2 laps down again. I thought he was 1 lap down, but it looks like now he will be -2. So Todd Schneider is the only car that would be in the lucky dog position as things currently stand. So Victor Santos going to be the race leader when we go back green, and it looks like Nick DeGroot came down pit road. He will be restarting back in the 12th position. So this is going to be interesting. We saw him work his way through the field and get up eventually to the race lead. Now he's going to have to do it again. He's definitely got enough time, but the reason why I question this strategy is because I just talked about Matt Wagner being out in front, then he dropped back in the field with pit stops, and what happened? He got involved in a wreck. So back in the eye of the storm, if you will, Nick DeGroot, he came down pit road along with Gary Corley, Jorge Elizondo, and others under this caution period. So Santos and Brooks, the top 2, Josh Garner in 3rd, Oscar Gonzalez 4th, Charles Teed there in 5th, Eric Schauth in 6th. How about AJ Hobson? He's now in 7th. Brandon Passalacqua, who got the lucky dog, I think it was under the last yellow flag. He's now going to be 8th. Benjamin Combs, who we saw, his car kind of looked like a soapbox derby car on the back straightaway after going airborne. He's up in 9th. And Craig Forsyth, after bringing out the last caution with a spin out of turn 4, he is now up in the top 10. Lights out atop the pace car. Green flag going to come back out. We are at less than 50 laps to go. Looks like it'll be 42 laps to go when we get back underway. Another driver back down pit road. That is Charles Johnson in the 14. I'm not certain if this is a regularly scheduled stop for him or not. He had already lost a bunch of track position after coming down pit road under the last yellow flag, as we saw on our side-by-side. And we got some connection problems, I think. Inside of our top 3, was that Brooks or was that Gardner? I looked up for a brief second, saw a car disappear and reappear, but it looks like it's settled out. So we should be good. As the pace truck, back on pit road, leaving the field in the hands of Victor Santos. Green flag is out as Santos back up through the gears. Victor Santos, 4th in the Auto Club season opener last week, looking to build off of that momentum, trying to get his first trip to victory lane this season. Jim Brooks rather in second, Josh behind him, that being Garner in the third spot. And those three have broken away from fourth place Oscar Gonzalez, who's got his hands full with Charles Teed, Eric Schaus, and just behind them, there you see the 63 of AJ Hobson. It's now Teed to the inside of Gonzalez. That's for fourth place. Edge ahead, half a car length at the start-finish line. Schaus following in his tire tracks. Up at the front, side by side for the race lead. Jim Brooks to the inside of Santos. Couldn't make the move there into 3. Garner was there as well. Looking to the outside, but could not make the move. Look at Santos darting back and forth, left and right, trying to break up that draft, trying to hinder any run that Jim Brooks could get. And for Brooks, what is he doing? Is he looking out the windshield, or is he looking in his 2 rearview mirrors, because he's got a rear deck lid? Well, these cars don't really have deck lids, but right on his back bumper is that 12 of Josh Garner as Brooks completes the pass. Whoa! Close call there! Did he call it a slide job in an IndyCar? I don't know, but that's almost what that was. Slid right up in front of Santos. Santos had to back off. Again, almost slides up in front of the 24. These guys better watch out. They may be battling for the race lead right now, but they may be later on battling for who's going to be the first one off of pit road after a tow, because they nearly ended up eating it there off of turn 2 about a lap and a half ago. Brooks still on that inside line, forcing Victor Santos to try the top side. Santos more than willing to go up there to that second, almost third groove. Now he'll try and get a run to the top here off of 4. Nice draft off of the right rear quarter panel, but he just can't follow that momentum up going into the entrance of turn 1. Problem for Santos is he wants to try that inside line, I think, but he doesn't want to be in the same position we saw Nick DeGroot in earlier, where he has to enter that corner so shallow and almost not have the car turn. But I think if that lane is open in the closing stages of this race, he's going to have to take it, regardless of the end results, because that outside line is just not working for him. He can get about half a car length up there alongside of Jim Brooks, but he just cannot keep that momentum up off of the corner onto the straightaway, and he loses all that ground by the time they get into the entrance of either turn 1 or turn 3. As all this is going on, great battling back here just inside of the top 10. AJ Hobson, Craig Forsyth, Nick DeGroot, Brandon Passalacqua, all wadded up right here. Behind the 77 of Benjamin Combs, what a comeback run for him after he was airborne on the back straightaway earlier on tonight. Harry Corley, Jorge Elzondo, Gail Brooks all back there as well. I mean, you've got about 8-9 cars that are all nose to tail right now. Contact was definitely made there between Nick DeGroot and Brandon Passalacqua. They keep it together, though. And I think if we're going to have a caution take place, it's going to be right here, as battle for the lead is on. Santos got to the inside of Jim Brooks. I think he edged out by maybe a wing at the start-finish line leading that lap, and now he's going to go to the point. Garner moves to second as Brooks got really tight off of turn 2. So now Garner maybe in the catbird seat here, trying to see if he can get around the 24. Less than 30 laps to go here at Iowa. Santos pulls low, trying to break the draft. Garner committed to that top side for the time being. Brooks trying to battle back. Went from first back to third in the couple of corners. And now as these three have been battling, here comes Eric Schaus in fourth. Oscar Gonzalez now in fifth. We saw his teammate talking about Gonzalez. We saw the 22 of Pablo Francis up in front for quite a portion of this race. You gotta wonder if maybe Gonzalez trying to win it for not only himself, but his teammate who had one of the stronger cars in the midway portion of this race. Caution is out. It's Robert Maleska Jr. I'm sorry, Brett Maleska III, I should say. In trouble in the 91. He had just gotten the lucky dog not too long ago, and he's going to be the reason for the caution coming out for the 8th time here tonight at Iowa Speedway. Which means we are going to have quite possibly a 20-lap shootout here at Iowa Speedway, and this very well might not have been our last caution of the evening either. Let's go back and see what happened to Maleska III. This looks like this was out at turn 4. drives it deep to the inside of Krista Nelson, who then gets up into another machine. Couldn't tell who that was. Comes down into Maleska the third, and then he ends up having his nose literally like a lawn dart get caught into the outside wall. Trying to figure out who that other driver was that got collected up. I believe it was a lap machine. We'll double check on that. No, it was not. Oh, yes, it was. I'm sorry. It was actually the 36 of Eric Peterson, who was 2 laps down. Just so tight there off the corner. I think there was prior contact between Maleska the third and Krista Nelson, which sent her then up into Eric Peterson. Then she came back down and got the 91 again. So caution out for the 8th time tonight. And now everybody has to really make decisions. We did have a couple of drivers come to pit lane, including race leader in the 24, Victor Santos. Also Jim Brooks, Josh Garner, Eric Schaus, Brandon Pasliqua, and Benjamin Combs, all on pit road. That turns the race lead over now to the 11 of Oscar Gonzalez. Gonzalez, last week at Auto Club, finished in the 29th position. Subsequently, in that massive tie for 27th in points. Just to update, we do have more drivers back in the garage here. It's been a while since we've updated that. We already knew that Jason Butler was going to finish 35th. Jimmy Drynan, who has been airborne not once but twice here tonight, he'll be finishing 34th. Corey Lane is going to finish 33rd. And Bud Steele will be finishing in 32nd. 31 drivers are still in the running of this race. 24 of them are on the lead lap. The most recent of those, Todd Schneider, getting the free pass under this caution. Well, there's been a couple of drivers that I really have not talked about here tonight, and they have popped up into the top 10 late. How about 7th place Gail Brooks? Gail Brooks finished top 10 last week at Auto Club. Finished 9th, is 9th in points. And right now, that Baskin Robbins, number 71, holding down a spot inside of the top 10. And right behind Gail Brooks is Joe McAdory, who came down pit road 2 cautions ago, lost a lot of track position, but has been able to work his way now up into the 8th spot. And when we came on the air, we ended up having a caution come out for Dylan Moskowitz. He is now up in the 10th position, so a lot of drivers really taking advantage of hardships of other drivers here tonight, and might be en route to some top 10 finishes. So Oscar Gonzalez, who has not been to pit road since lap 88, he is the one out in front. He and Charles Teed are on equal footing. They were both last on pit road 40 laps ago. Craig Forsyth, on the other hand, he was last on pit road back on lap 99. And I believe that a big reason for that was it was the caution that he was involved in off of turn 4. But he's now up in the 3rd spot. AJ Hobson currently is in 4th. Nick DeGroot in the 5th position. And Jorge Elizondo, Gail Brooks, Joe McAdory, Gary Corley, and Dylan Moskowitz. That is your top 10. Let's go a little bit further down while we've got the time. Jeff Heisong is 11th. Alexander Van de Sant in 12th. Nicholas Wunk in 13th, Jim Herrick in 14th. Charles Johnson's now up to 15th after a couple of times to pit road. Kristen Nelson's in 16th, Brandon Pasliqua 17th, 18th, Benjamin Combs. Jeffrey Duncan in 19th, Victor Santos now back in 20th. Jim Brooks in 21st, Josh Garner 22nd, Eric Schaus in 23rd, and Todd Schneider, last car on the lead lap, in 24th. Santos, Brooks, Garner, and Schaus, that was your top 4 when that caution came out. They are now outside of the top 15. Green flag set to come back out here with 21 laps to go. Look at Hobson trying to get a run to the outside there of Craig Forsyth, who does not leave him a lane as Gonzalez leads the field into turn 1. Charles Teed drove it really deep there into 1 and 2, trying to get a run on that 11 machine, but now he's got Forsyth, who's going to force him to the top side. Forsyth looking for 2nd place. Now Teed's going to go to the top, going into turn 1. Whoa, what a crossover by Teed. Just behind Gonzalez, just in front of Forsythe, and he's going to make it work. Beautiful pass. That's all about knowing where your race car is, and caution is out. It's Gary Corley in the 7 bringing out this caution as he is flipping off of turn 4 and onto the front straightaway. 9th caution of the evening. Another car flipping and barrel rolling here tonight at Iowa. And this one happening with less than 20 laps to go. Gary Corley and a couple of laps out in front here tonight. And looks like it's going to be contact between himself and Jeff Hysong for what might have been a spot just inside of the top 10. Hysong going to push up there, gets him in the left rear quarter panel, and then I think that might have been the 13 of Krista Nelson that clobbered him there off of turn 4, sending him up into the air once again. There was another driver involved that actually was the one that took the front wing off of his race car, and I'm trying to see if I can find out who that was. Might possibly have been the 33 of Nicholas Wunk, but I'm not 100% sure. And we're going to see here on board Krista Nelson what she saw. Off of turn 4. Oh, gracious. That's some pretty good contact there to the right front, undoubtedly on the right front wing. And we'll see if that's going to draw her to pit road or not. Yeah, I'm looking, the entire right front wing is completely gone on that 13 machine. But it doesn't look like she's coming to pit road. So Charles Teed, he is going to be the race leader after what was, in my opinion, one of the best passes we've seen here today. Talked about the closing rate of these drivers and how difficult it is to be able to know the boundaries of your race car. And the pass he was able to make to clear Charles Forsythe behind him, as well as get to the inside of Oscar Gonzalez, that was a tremendous pass. Gonzalez will be second, Forsythe in third, with Hobson and DeGroot the top 5. It looks like the 13 is still staying out there of Krista Nelson, so there may have been one of those cases where the contact was made but did not cause any damage. Let's drop back and see if we can get a look. And, well, actually, maybe that right front wing is okay. It looks like it is buckled in. It definitely is buckled in. It's not the way it should be, but Krista Nelson apparently not wanting to give up the track position here. Currently in the 15th spot. With that caution coming out, Jeffrey Duncan is the recipient of the free pass, so now 23 drivers will be on the lead lap. Next driver that would get the lucky dog, should we get another caution, would be former race leader and last week's winner from Auto Club, Matt Wagner, in the 99. Gary Corley still on pit road in the 7. Robert Maleska III, who was involved in the 8th caution, he still sits on pit road also. Looks like he will probably finish 31st here tonight unless something drastic happens. Other drivers, multiple laps down, Michael Spell, AJ Musselman, Eric Peterson, as well as Pablo Francis and Covey Moore. Looking at the point standings right now, and the drivers that are really going to take the huge hits in points unless something happens here in these final 15 laps. Obviously, Matt Wagner is going to take a big hit. If he finishes a lap down in 24th position, came into tonight's race the points leader. Third in points, Robert Maleska III is going to take a huge hit, as he is currently down there outside of the top 30. And another driver looks like he may be taking a pretty good hit in the point standings would be Corey Lane, finishing out of the race in 33rd. He was 16th in points coming into today's event. But right now, a lot of your drivers that were running up high in the point standings after decent season openers at Auto Club, like Eric Schaus, he's currently back in 19th, but I believe he does have fresher tires. We've also got Victor Santos, who's been out in front here. He's also in the same boat as Schaus back in 18th, but I think they still have some time to get up here. Alexander Van de Sant's right now in 11th. He was 5th in points. Greg Forsyth, he is right now 3rd, and he was 6th in the standings. Jorge Enzaldo, he's 6th on the racetrack right now, and he was 7th in the points coming this race. So a lot of drivers right now look like they're going to continue on the momentum of last week, but still, there's still 15 laps to go. This thing isn't over. 14 at the line as Charles Teed gets us back underway. And Charles Teed, he finished 35th last week at Auto Club. So talk about a driver that's trying to get his season turned around in a hurry. As he's going to break away from this three-way battle for the second spot between Gonzalez, Forsyth, and Hobson. Hobson's another driver who we kind of expected to see do a lot better last week, headed into that Auto Club race, the defending winner of that event. Ended up finishing in 14th. And Forsyth continuing to try and clear himself on that 11. He finally will do so, as Gonzalez now falls back in the clutches of Hobson, and there is Nick DeGroot in the 1 machine, now in the 5th spot. Does he have enough time to get up here? Not only get around these drivers for what would eventually be second place, but then get up there to Charles Teed, who is setting a blistering pace right now. I think Charles Teed might possibly want this thing to go green to the end, as Oscar Gonzalez almost went down below the yellow line. He went solo out of turn 2, pushing up to Forsyth, almost put him up into the wall. That'd be the second time tonight that Craig Forsyth has been spun over in turn 3 if there had been contact between those two. Forsyth's going to hang on to second place. Now the battle is on for 4th. Hobson on the top side, DeGroot on the bottom. Behind them, good battle going on between Jorge Enzaldo and Gale Brooks in 71. Way up the track is the 22 car of Pablo Francis, lap machine, trying to get out of the way of the race leaders. DeGroot going to use the 22 as a pick. He'll take the spot from Hobson. Hobson wants it back, though. This is 4th position under contest. And the battle for the lead is closed up as well. Teed has been reeled in. Forsyth is there. Now he's to the inside going into 3. Oh, that makes me nervous because the 29 pushed up. Make that the 27 pushes up. That opens the door for Gonzalez to go for second place. And now Gonzalez pushes up, tries to throw the block. DeGroot way wide off of turn 2. Take a look from the back of Charles Teed, the slicing and dicing going on inside of the top 5, a little bit further back for the top 10. As Teed hoping that these 6 laps tick away quickly. Another slower machine up ahead to deal with. Hard to tell who that is. Might be the 88 of Michael Spell. Looks like he will clear him, and caution is out. AJ Hobson has run into an issue, and I believe that the 33, make that the 32 of Jeffrey Duncan and the 33 of Nicholas Wunk, may have been collected up in this one. Caution's going to come out. Remember, we do have 1 green-white checkered at our disposal, and I think we are going to have to use it here and now. Hobson was having such a great run inside of the top 5. Fell back a bit, and I believe it is the 71 of Gale Brooks that he is going to make contact with going into turn 3 in what was a battle for the 6th position. Brooks just pushes up Hobson into the air and then back down into traffic, and doesn't look like anybody hit him, although I did see that the 32 of Duncan and the 33 of Wunk, their speeds really decreased. I think we had another wreck take place in turn 4, and indeed we did. It was right behind the incident with Hobson. 3-wide situation, and it puts the 33 up into the wall of Wunk. That was Jim Herrick, the 57, that was in the middle that got forced up into him. And now, what about the 32 of Duncan? Did he just get on the brakes to avoid, or was he involved? And it looks like he actually just got on the brakes to avoid, so Duncan was not actually involved in that wreck. All right, so now what? If you're Charles Teed, you've had some really good restarts. You had Craig Forsyth on your back bumper. You were able to hold him off. We saw a overtime green-white checker in the Auto Club race last week, and we know what the end result of that was. Absolute utter chaos coming off of turn 4. So now what are we going to see here at Iowa? Well, these drivers are going to have the opportunity to ponder their strategy. Teed the leader, Gonzalez second, Forsyth third, Anzaldo and DeGroot the top 5, and then Gale Brooks, Desant, Moskowitz, Macadori, and Haisong the top 10. We're going to take our final commercial break as these drivers have to start to think about what they're going to do here for a 2-lap shootout at Iowa Speedway. You won't miss a thing. We're going FRN side by side.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom t-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized, I mean, we do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything, hoodies.
And we're back here, and it looks like we will not get that green-white checkered. It looks like the race will end under caution, and Charles Teed is going to be the race winner here at Iowa Speedway. This yellow flag helping him to win the race under caution. And talk about a driver that went from an all-time low last week to an all-time high this week. Last week, 35th out of 36 drivers. And today, P1 at Iowa Speedway. Well, we talked about drivers that were going to probably free fall through the standings. Well, if you're going to pick up a lot of spots in points, what better way to do it than in the second race of the year with a trip to victory lane? Charles Teed will get his first win of the season. And there were a lot of moves in those final 50 laps that you could point out as maybe the race-winning move. The move he made on Oscar Gonzalez for the eventual race lead. And the block that he was able to put on Craig Forsyth to hold him off to eventually win this race. As Charles Teed stopped on the front straightaway here in front of these Iowa fans, and now looks like we're going to start to see him burn it down here at this 7/8 of a mile short track. Let's take a look at the finishing results. There we go. Now he's got those rear tires spinning down there on the short track section of a short track. That's kind of an inversion thing to say. It's like the Matrix. As Oscar Gonzalez going to bring it home with second place. Craig Forsyth in third. And I don't want to make any, predictions yet, but Forsyth might very well be our points leader going into Atlanta next week. Jorge Anzaldo is going to finish in fourth. Nick DeGroot will finish fifth. Gale Brooks with sixth. Alexander Van Desant in seventh. Dylan Moskowitz will get 8th. Ninth will be Joe Macadori, and Jeff Haisong is going to complete the top 10. Take a look here at the rest of the finishing results. A lot of comebacks here in the top 20. Benjamin Combs had to use a faster pair after being airborne in the back straightaway, getting 12th. Brandon Passalacqua was involved in an early wreck. He had to battle back 17th. Really surprised drivers like Victor Santos, Eric Schaus, and Jim Brooks, drivers that we saw battling up in the top 3 at around 50 to go. They were not able to work their way back up to the front. I think these late race yellows really stifled their opportunity to pick up spots in the closing stages. And the big one here, Matt Wagner going to officially finish 2 laps down in the 24th position. Last week's winner and the points leader coming into tonight's race. Obviously, he will not be the points leader going into Atlanta. Also, Robert Maleska III finishing in 31st. He was 3rd in points coming into this race. So a couple of drivers that were up in the top 5 in the standings going to take some big, big hits. Well, let's get some post-race interviews with our top 3 finishers. It was nerve-wracking up here in the booth to see these drivers with close quarter racing, but what did the drivers think? Let's kick things off with our 3rd place finisher, Craig Forsyth. Hey, Craig, it's Seth up here in the FRN studios. You got me?
You betcha. How you guys doing tonight?
Well, man, I want to get a driver's point of view because we saw the speeds you drivers were carrying into the corner. This is a short track, and the hits that we were seeing drivers take as well, the wrecks are something that we're used to seeing maybe at a 1.5 mile, 2 mile racetrack, but it was a short track here tonight. How nerve-wracking was it as a driver with the braking zones, the multiple grooves of racing that you guys had to deal with here tonight?
So many cautions. It was, yes, I did not want to get hit. I did not want to get taken out. It's really hard to pass people on this track. So position is everything. I mean, you saw that with the pit stops. Guys were, intentionally not pitting just to maintain track position. It was a hard race.
It's kind of interesting if we look at last week at Auto Club, it was that inside line off of turn 4 a lot of drivers had difficulty with. Here tonight, as you just alluded to, it was that inside line, especially off of turn 4, so a lot of drivers pushing up off of that corner, and one of those times you actually were on the receiving end of one of those spins. Talk about getting that car repaired and having to work your way back up there methodically to be able to snag this podium finish.
I admit I was intentionally trying to hold Nick low, and I should have known better because when I had been running the bottom, I knew that if you didn't lift, you were going to slide up, and I don't know if you just didn't realize how much you were going to slide up, so you had to lift, and had the same thing. I think it was towards the end there with Oscar. I mean, he started to slide up, and we touched only so slightly, but that was the move for him to get him second. So good on him. It was tough. I mean, the bottom line was faster if you could maintain the speed, but it was easier to maintain speed on the outside line.
Saw you finish 6th last week at Auto Club, 3rd place here tonight at Iowa. Now, my math's not the best, but I think this has you the points leader going into Atlanta. Slick old racing surface. What's your focus going into that 1.5 mile track?
Crash.
Well, hopefully we don't see you do that, Craig. But, man, congratulations on a great start to the season, your first podium of the season here tonight at Iowa Speedway. We're now going to give you the opportunity to do some thank yous, sponsors, and shout-outs.
I got to thank the LMCgear.com team. All 4 of us were talking away the race, making sure everyone was aware what was going on in the various parts of the track so that no one got surprised coming around a corner into a wreck. And got to thank Butt Kicker. My new Butt Kicker just arrived, and it's kicking my butt.
Well, congratulations once again there, Craig, on a 3rd place run here tonight at Iowa. And we look forward to seeing you try and carry this momentum into Atlanta. Hopefully we don't see you crashing there. Maybe we'll be able to talk to you in victory lane.
Looking forward to it.
And now let's get our 2nd place finisher here if we can, Oscar Gonzalez. And I'm not certain, like we may actually not have him available for an interview. I'm just going to double check and scan through here. And no, I am not seeing him. So it looks like we will not be able to get an interview with our 2nd place finisher. So down to victory lane we go. Let's see if we can get a word with tonight's race winner, Charles Teed.
Sure.
Hey, Charles, it's Seth up here in the FRN studios. You got me?
I do. How you doing, Seth?
Well, man, I'm doing great. I'll bet you're doing better, though. Man, talked about last week the hardships of Auto Club, but here tonight, you're able to pick up the win at Iowa. And I was saying, the early portions of the season, if you're going to mount a comeback, then is the time because you gained so many multiple spots in the standings. Was that the focus coming into the short track tonight?
Really, tonight was about survival. I had really good pace and got unlucky on Schaus, and I nearly wrecked at about a 30 or 40 lap mark of the race, and it was then just trying to survive. But then I saw that like lap 87, if we stretch it and based on the yellows that were out, I had a shot to make it to the end. I thought that was our only way to win. So Eric and I did split strategy, and it ended up working out really well. So really fortunate, some unbelievably fast cars in this field. So I'll take it.
We also talked about the fact that it seemed like here tonight, it was so difficult with the runs drivers were getting, the loss of momentum for some drivers, that it was so difficult to be able to tell where your car was going to be in relation to somebody else coming off the corner. I want to go back to that move that you made off of turn 2. You were able to just barely clear Forsyth for second and get to the inside of Gonzalez for eventually the race lead, which eventually got you that race win. I mean, was there any doubt in your mind that maybe, just maybe, that car wasn't going to stick down to turn 3? Because we saw a lot of drivers when they went down to 3 shallow like that, how the car just wouldn't turn.
Yeah, I knew it was a gutsy one to try and make that one stick, but I also knew that it was my only shot. Craig races so hard, but races really clean. And Gonzalez did the same, and we just stuck it in there, and it worked. It was, and then I was able from then on to use a lot of 6th gear on those restarts once we got a lap out to be able to save fuel. But yeah, there was a couple of things I'm really looking forward to going back and looking at when Craig and I got really close on a he almost got under me into 2. So yeah, or into 1. It was a good race.
You talk about tonight being a survival race. We were just talking moments ago with Craig Forsyth, and he says he's looking at Atlanta to possibly be a survival race as well. Do you agree with that? And with that being said, I mean, you were able to survive a survival race tonight. So what do you think your chances are at the mile and a half next week?
Yeah, I mean, we got pace, which has really been neat because I would put this group of 38 guys up with anyone out there that runs an IndyCar. This is a hell of a group of drivers, and Atlanta will also be tough. We'll have to get to work on that setup as a group to make sure everyone's comfortable with it. I really didn't expect to be able to get through this thing 0x and without any incidents at all, and very fortunate. The yellows fell just the way I needed them to, and sometimes the stars shine perfectly for you, and tonight they did, so we'll take it.
We saw you make some really amazing moves, some really good moves there in the closing stages, and it got you the win here tonight at Iowa. Congratulations, Charles. We're now going to give the opportunity for some thank yous, sponsors.
Yes. First, I want to thank you guys at FRN. You guys do an unbelievable job. It's been a great pleasure to partner with you guys for this season and going forward. Really, really excited to have you guys be a part of Dark Horse. I want to thank Lionheart. I want to thank George for all he does for us with their league. We run partner leagues where they help us with the setups and help us to put on the show for everyone. I want to thank Butt Kicker for sponsoring the series. We got Covey Moore, who's doing all the graphics for us. And I want to thank all the guys at Dark Horse. I mean, we're running 4 teams. The original 4 or 5 guys that helped put this all together, along with the guys from Area 51 to make this league happen. This is our 3rd season. A lot of us have joined iRacing over during COVID and got into this, and this is just a hell of a group of drivers. So it's been a lot to be thankful for. So that's the group I'd want to thank. But thank you guys.
Well, Charles Teed's start to the season got off to a bit of a bumpy start, but he is a winner in the 2nd race of the season of Season 3 of the Dark Horse IndyCar Series with a trip to victory lane here tonight at Iowa. Congratulations, Charles, and hopefully you can carry this over into Atlanta and maybe go back-to-back next week.
Let's go give them hell. Thanks, boys.
Wow, what a great race here tonight at Iowa Speedway. And I'm telling you what, there are a couple more short tracks that are on the schedule this season, and I cannot wait to see if Iowa is any indication of what we're going to see in those ones. It's going to be wild. But man, next week, I mean, we're even hearing a little bit of apprehension and hesitation in the drivers' voices here that ended up surviving here tonight at Iowa with Atlanta, that slick racing surface coming up next week. That should be a good one. We've gone 2-mile racing, now 7/8 of a mile racing, 1.5 mile racing on tap at the D-shaped 1.5 mile racetrack of Atlanta next week should be a good one. The points are definitely going to be shaken up here tonight as well. A lot of drivers that ran well at Auto Club last week ran well tonight. On the flip side, a lot of drivers that didn't run well at Auto Club ran well here tonight. So there's going to be a lot of jostling for positions and points heading into Atlanta next week. Thank you to everybody for tuning in here tonight. Thank you for bearing with us. We got started a little bit late, but boy, we were here for an exciting finish at Iowa Speedway with Charles Teed going to victory lane. Hope you guys enjoyed our broadcast here tonight. Enjoy what is left of your Wednesday evening. Also be sure to tune in to some other broadcasts we've got going on currently here on the Flat Out Racing Network. We've got coming up here a little bit later on, we've got the SARG Super Speedway Series. They're going to be underway at Daytona International Speedway, and I believe already underway, we've got the SNB Cup Series presented by Appalachian Hauler Hunters. That is going on, I believe, already with Samuel Dyer on the call. So be sure to tune in to those broadcasts that are also taking place here on a very busy Wednesday night. But for everybody here at Dark Horse IndyCar Series, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys for the continuation of Season 3 next week at Atlanta. I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching another broadcast tonight courtesy of the Flat Out Racing Network. Good night from Iowa Speedway.